Do I think Elon Musk is crazy? Was that it? Do I think he's crazy?
Yep. Do you think Elon Musk is crazy?
Um, no, I don't think he's crazy. Well, no, I don't think he's crazy. The well part of it is, do I think he's acting crazy? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Um, I think that's the perception. Is he doing that part intentionally? Could be, right? I don't think he's like certifiably crazy or insane, whatever, whatever. I think what he's doing is one. It's what you've been in the military. Is that new first sergeant who gets to the unit who has to shake things up so he can let everybody know that he's the boss. Look, we get it, bro. We see the stripes, right? Like, I think it's a little bit of that. At the same time, I don't think it's that like without merit, if that makes sense. Like I said, I don't know the ins and outs of the business. I think he obviously knows better than I do, or anyone does. Everybody who's criticizing him has no idea what's on the books, has no idea. How do we know that he didn't come in the first day or whatever and get the reports and he's looking at the programmers like performance sheets? Maybe people are performing at a 40%, 60% rate when they should be getting like sevens and above or whatever their performance rating is, right? How do we know that he looked at the company across the board and is like, everybody's performing under par, but you want to be leading in the tech industry, a company that's competing with a Facebook, a TikTok, a Twitter, like, oh, well, Twitter, but you know what I mean? You're competing with all the top, social media companies out there. You still need to get market share. So, one, we don't know the ins and outs of the company, right? And I think he obviously knows that better. And then so he's like, I'm gonna, I'm gonna go ahead and change. Who does he need to like be friends with? He don't need to go in there like, "Good morning, guys. I'm Elon. Just want to let you know everything's gonna be great." Ain't nobody, you know what I mean? He don't. He just bought the entire company, and I gotta come in here and act and walk on eggshells in my company that I just bought that none of you could even think about spending a dollar. Half of them probably don't even have the stock options in the company that were offered to them. You get what I'm saying? So none of them have a vested interest in the company, but yet they're taking their paycheck happily. But yet they're probably underperforming, right? Do I think that he just went in there and fired people for absolutely no reason at all? I don't think so. I mean, someone have to like post your evidence if that's what it was, right? The one post that I did see that he fired someone on Twitter was Elon had said something. I want to say it was he apologized and he was like, "Hey, sorry that Twitter has been running slow on Android. Like, we'll get that fixed or whatever, something to that effect." Right? I'm paraphrasing. And one of the employees commented something along the lines of like, "Yo, you would think that he would DM somebody privately or send an email within the company instead of just blasting us on Twitter." Right? And so someone replies to Elon, "Well, man, if I had a guy working like that at my company, I probably wouldn't want a guy like with that attitude working at my company." And so his response was, "He's fired." Right? So now you got to make this argument of, all right, was he right to fire somebody on Twitter like that? Like, here's the deal. And you know this just being military, right? I would argue all is fair in love and war. Who said we have to be best friends and nice? And granted, it's not my management style, right? It's not my leadership style. But who does he owe nicety to? Right? He's cleaning house. If these programmers, here's the deal. I don't, the guy who made that comment of like, man, I don't know if I want that guy working for me. He might be right. So, and I don't think it's a thing of where, oh, you just better not piss off Elon, right? Because the guy made the comment. At the same time, you are talking to the billionaire who just bought the company. And you're like, he could have been as rude as a remark that could have been towards the CEO. It was just as rude. So I'd argue he met fire with fire, right? We don't like the way he did it, but it was okay when the programmer said, "Hey, you could have just DM'd me or you could have just sent me an email." He blasted Elon on Twitter to try to correct him. Okay, so you want to play this game out in the open as if you're going to call me out and you're fired. Let's see who's going to win that game. You just lost. So why would you even respond to him like that? You could have in an email or in a DM, hey Elon, all due respect, right? Show a little bit of respect because you don't know how Elon's going to respond. We lose tone in text, right? So you go, hey Elon, I understand, and here's the deal. Take a little bit of ownership first as being part of the programming team and go, hey, I understand that Android has been slow. I understand Android's been slow. Look, I'm going to do my best to maybe help you figure out what's wrong with that and fix that. Just wanted to let coming from me, I'd preferred, or I would have rather handled it in house versus out in the public. Just a thought. Just wanted to share how I felt. I hope it's okay for me to express how I feel. Right? You got to almost come passive aggressive with it. You can't come. I mean, you can. Right? By all means, yeah. Go back at Elon, bro. Yeah, do that. And if you know who Elon is, at least what he portrays himself to be, right? I don't know him personally, but everything about who he is online is about this transparency and about just it's an open, free platform. Like, you didn't think he was going to respond like that? I think Elon Musk, and I don't know this to be sure, only people who'd work with him could say, right? But I think he's a lot like Steve Jobs, or what they say Steve Jobs was. Very aggressive, very like, do what I want or get out. We never saw Steve Jobs because Steve Jobs never posted things like that. And I don't know that social media was what it was in 2011 when Jobs passes. You know what I mean? It's way different now. You had the president tweeting stuff like every other. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy the way that we use a platform now. So, if Jobs was around, I think you'd see exactly. I think a lot of leaders, honestly, more often than not, are probably like that. Are a good percentage of leaders, I'll say that, have that kind of egomaniac, whatever kind of leadership style. We just don't see it because they don't normally post it. He's just posting his. So now what that does is it just opens him up to criticism, and everyone's like, "Oh, he should have did this or he should have did that." But you run a $1 billion company, and tell me how you would run it. Multiple $1 billion, like it's not just Twitter. You know what I mean? It's multiple companies that he runs. Tesla's arguably, I mean, one of the big, aside from Amazon, is probably one of the largest stocks right now. You know, and then he buys Twitter. So it's like I think there's just so much more going on that we don't have a clue. So what's really going on and why he's acting that way. I think part of him is acting that way. He's tightening people up. When Elon walks down the hall, good morning, sir. Good morning. Sir. You know what I mean? It's P's and Q's, total line. Sergeant Major just walked in, and it's kind of that. I guess I get it from a military standpoint. You know what I mean? It's clean sweep, and he's going through the barracks. You're not over here like, well, sir, you could have told me that. Excuse me. You know how would that have been met in the military? And granted, it's not a military, it's a tech company. No, it's a discipline company. You get what I'm saying?
Basic principles apply.
It's all about discipline, and of course civilians don't have it, especially you know when you're in office jobs at a $1 billion company where you probably got lattes waiting for you in the foyer when you walk into your office. You know what I mean? So I think that lets the guard down on some of the seriousness to perform when you're in a comfortable environment. And I think you should be, right? Because you're looking at numbers all day or coding all day, whatever, whatever. And so there probably should be some relaxed feel to it to kind of balance out what it is. But I think that also psychologically causes you to be in a more casual setup. If you're just wearing jeans and a t-shirt every day and come in when you want, 'cause we want you to be free of mind, right? All these like new ideas. Uh-uh. When you're cleaning house, when you're restructuring, hey, tighten up, tighten up. So it's his company to do whatever he wants, man. You can quit. I think that was another thing that was said too. Something about, I think I read something where it was like, be prepared to work long hours or leave. Fair. Look, it's a privately owned company, or soon will be. I don't know if it went private yet, but I know that's what he was talking about doing. So you either do what he says, or you go find a job. But that's any job. I don't want to put that out there, but you know what I mean? Like, you have one or two options. You deal with it or you change it. You could deal with Elon or you change it. You go start your own company then. Go start your own, It's not that easy. It's easy to criticize, right? Because you have one job to do and it's just code. He's got 100 jobs to do. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, unless you can really be in that man's shoes to judge, you go run a company and tell me how easy it is. I can tell you just running a small business is insane. Let alone, I don't think it gets easier when you get into the $1 billion company. You know what I mean? I mean, you've dealt with how many troops, right? Close to 300 troops. It's not easy to manage 300. So now do a company with I don't know their how many employees they have, 3,000 maybe, and maybe 20% of those aren't cutting the you know cutting weight, like
Extender.
meeting the standard, right? And I'm supposed to what? Be nice? Nice don't win. You know what I mean? The nice guys cheer for the bad guys. Ooh, what are we were watching that
High speed chase.
the high speed chase. We're like, yo, we shouldn't be cheering this on, but he's a good driver. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of it, man. Nobody wants to be the bad guy, but sometimes you got to be the bad guy. And I think he's intentionally. I think he's intentional. I don't think he's crazy. I think he's intentionally doing it. I think he's trying to send a message. Those who get it, and I'm sure, right? We're not privy to the one-on-one conversations he had. How do we know? He probably brought in team leads, high-end team leads, senior team leads, and said, "Listen, this is what it is. Who's with me? Yes or no? Look, I get it. There's going to be some changes. Blah blah blah. You're not going to like all of them. You're going to hear a lot of things in the media. I mean, we do the same thing in our. Not everybody knows what operations we're doing. People don't know what it's like to be downrange doing this, that, the other, or what the specifics of the mission are. They just say, thank you for your service. And we just say, you're welcome or no, thank you, right? But there's so much more that they'll never be able to really, you know what I mean? You'll never understand really what you're thankful for. You'll never understand until you hear that whiz go by your head, until you see that truck right in front of you blow up, or until your truck blows up. You know what I mean? I heard that from my sergeant. Like that was his whole thing for me because I was like bummed that I didn't go, kind of thing. He was like, "Nah, bro, it ain't. You don't want that. You know what I mean? But that's the price you pay, And I think the same thing with business, right? It's a war. You're fighting for thousands of people to keep their jobs. So for the one guy who's not falling in line, do I owe him anything? When I just sat down and had a staff meeting with these other guys and they told me what it is and what they've been going through prior with the last CEO being here or whatever the case, you know what I mean? I think there's so much there that we don't know. It happens in our individual families. How much is going on in our house where mom's over here and that other mom is not doing, you know what I mean? Like so much goes on in our households that we don't know what our neighbor goes through. We just say good morning and keep it pushing. I think it's the same thing. You know, it's just easier to criticize him because you're seeing his actions out in the open, but then you fill in the blank on everything else behind it, but you don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know. At the end of the day, one entrepreneur to another, I gotta support it unless you could show me where he did something wrong. I don't. Is it wrong to do it on Facebook or out in public? In a weird way, I think that's the time we live in now. You know what I mean? Um, it's where we live. Is there a more cordial way to do it? Maybe, right? But is there a better way to send mail? Yeah, it's called email. You know what I mean? Is there a better way to do email? It's called a text message. I don't. You know what I mean? So I think there's always going to be resistance, especially when there's change, especially when it's unorthodox change. It is what it is. But anyway, to answer your question, no, I don't think he's crazy. I think he knows what he's doing. He's run more companies than most, right? Most people, I mean, like the public that are commenting on him, he's run multiple. I'm pretty sure he's behind PayPal. He sold PayPal. That was his initial, like, think. So one of the largest financial companies ever. You know what I mean? And now people want to criticize. What's the last thing that you made sold for $100, let alone billions of dollars, and then went on the backs of that and built other. This dude sent people to space. You're doubting him right now? He sent people to space. What are you talking about? What's the last thing you sent out?
A bill.
You know what I mean? Like the last thing you sent into space was like your text message. It was like, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. People are funny, bro. People are gonna just criticize because that's just what people do. and we ain't got nothing else to do. So I see Elon did something, and I'm like, oh man, I can't believe I would never. Yeah, you probably would never, because you would never have $1 billion company. You know what I mean? And it's people with a lower end mentality that are probably doing a lot of the commenting, and me with my high end mentality doing some commenting. Yeah, whatever. And that's what I mean, right? Like, what does it matter?
It's all opinion.
It's all opinion. And at the end of the day, heavy is the head that wears a crown. He's got to figure out how to make that company work. We don't, but we use that app though. You know what I mean? We just want to, and I think from what I saw started it was that he was acknowledging that the app wasn't running right on certain platforms. He was openly saying, "Hey, our bad." He's taking the heat as a CEO, newly CEO, mind you, that hey, our app isn't performing the way we'd like it to. And I think he had threw out some numbers, like data number, like the data rate just wasn't, it wasn't performing. That's fair to say. You're the CEO. At least I'd rather, that's what we want CEOs to do. To come out and do a press release or whatever it's called, do a statement. Um, I, he chose to do it on Twitter, and then somebody responded, and he goes, "Oh, okay, goodbye." But nah, I don't think he's crazy. I think he has a different style than most. I think we do it with the president, right? The first 100 days. Give the dude his first 100 days behind the company will. And I think with tech and with programming, I know he has some staff that, well, whatever staff is left. How long does it take them to, is 90 days or 100 days enough for them to implement changes that are seen positively within the Twitter community, people that are using it every day? I don't know that you come in there, you're not just going to come in there and rewrite the program, right? A lot of that's going to probably stay in place. He probably has already designed a team that's working on whatever the new version is that he's going to roll out under his name. But Twitter, as we know it, has been whatever the last guys put together. It hasn't changed just because he got there. And I think that's the thing, right? It starts with the culture of people that are in the building first before I don't think he's ever going to even touch the program yet. I guarantee you he's at a meeting and he already knew he was going to buy Twitter. So he has his probably laundry list of things that he's like, okay, I want to change this, 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 this. He didn't walk in there a week ago and go, okay, end the program, shut Twitter down. No, it's going to stay the version that it is until they do some tests and run a new, program a new version. I don't know that they do it from scratch. I think they probably take out bits and pieces. You know what I mean? I think it'll be fun to watch though and see what happens. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough because you're gonna get criticized no matter what. You're gonna get criticized from the employees because they're in the building, and you know how it is. 50% of the people are gonna like you. 50% of the people are gonna hate you. You know what I mean? That's no matter where you go, no matter how hard you work. I'm sure Elon, building his umpteenth company by now, has figured that out. So what he's probably done is said, you know what? I'm gonna just be me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna just be me because people are either gonna love me or hate me. And here's the deal: it doesn't matter which of the two because at the end of the day, I gotta generate revenue. Period. He has shareholders. Well, let's take it private. That's one other thing. But you know what I mean? He's got a job to do, regardless. And that the job that needs to be done has nothing to do with people liking him or not liking him. Um, and it's like I said, it's easy to criticize when you've never had to be put in that position. I think, you know, um, let this man work. It might be crazy, but hey, until he's doing it wrong, he's doing something right. He's made more money than most. You know what I mean? I think okay, never mind like how he does it, right? If you just look at what he's done, PayPal, Tesla, SpaceX, the Boeing company, which is the underground uh, transportation system, right? Um, okay, just those four companies right there: PayPal, uh, Boeing, SpaceX, Tesla. Stack that up against every other resume that's criticizing him. Put one company that measures up to a quarter of what his resume actually is in building companies. And I'd argue he might be crazy, but he's crazy right until he's been proven to be wrong. Dude's knocked out of the park 4 times. I don't know, man. Let the man work. Get out of his way. Like, because he's obviously done something in his life that's allowed him to, get to that level of success. He's figured it out. And the rest of us are just criticizing as we're trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? I don't know. I support it until I find out that he's like, uh, making babies work in a sweatshop
Oh
somewhere.
my god.
Like unless he's done something morally wrong, like that's really morally wrong. You're telling me your feelings got hurt. That's not. My feelings get hurt every day. If that's the measure, you know what I mean. So I don't know, man. Let the dude work as long as he's not harming anyone. You know what I mean? Um, Physically, obviously, some feelings is about to be damaged all over the emotional damage. That's what Elon Musk is doing right now. But yo, all is fair in love and war, man. Either get with it or get left. One of the two. But I don't know. I wish you the best, Elon.